we are able to match in Bahasa Indonesia. So Turnitin and Authenticate have been actively in Indonesia since 2013. So throughout that time, we've collected a large amount of Indonesian content for comparison purposes. What is academic integrity? As a result of that audience, the workflow is incredibly different and it's much more easier to do a similarity check. So why do people trust us? Why do all those global publications rely on us? The reason for that is the quality and the quantity of the data in which a paper is checked against. So the first database that we would check is the Crossref database. Within there, we have around 47,000 journals and 69 million articles. In the second database, we have the Internet Archive. And that number, that grows every day. We have 70 billion current and archived web pages. Now, some universities will have a private repository, and RISTech may be able to subscribe to that, and we can check against that. But let's talk about these publications because that's key to getting published. So we have a relationship with Crossref, which is a global organization of many of the world's best publishers, and you can see that down there. And as a result of the partnership, we get access to their data, okay? So that does two things. Obviously, we're going to promote the journal's quality, but also at the same time, you're going to be comparing your work against all the best articles out there. So what that means, like Lindy spoke about, is that it can give you confidence that when you send work off after check-in on Authenticate, you know no nasty issues are going to be found. And this is why people use Authenticate. So we have many customers, academic institutions, government, NGOs, and of course publishers, okay? So we want to protect institutional and researchers' reputations, people like Lindy, people like the universities. But for the, for the publishers, they will use Authenticate to evaluate documents in a scalable and systematic way, okay? And ensuring that plagiarism checks are incorporated into the organization. But our main aim is to connect with researchers so that, again, you can publish with confidence. Just a few slides there. And many people will utilize Authenticate, okay? A grad and a PhD student will do that to talk to their mentors. Faculty and researchers will do that to prepare to publish professionally. And of course, the Research Integrity Office will undertake that, and even in grant submissions. So how you might use it is that obviously you will check the document before you do a submission for a journal, okay? And then you would compare that against the publisher's policy. Of course, some institutions in Indonesia, they will require their researchers to check any work, okay? And for other people out there, and especially for an Indonesian audience, people might use a similarity platform throughout the writing process because it is challenging to write a paper in English when perhaps you speak in Bahasa Indonesian. And for publishers, they will obviously check that as part of a filter, and larger journals that get many submissions, they might opt to check that at the editor assessment, okay? But the big thing to remember is you're very lucky to get access to Authenticate because once you send that research off, it's too late to fix any issues. So it's a very positive thing that you get access to this technology. Now, often as I travel around Asia, people are very surprised by the need for plagiarism to check. And also, they're also questioning the need, why should I publish? Okay. But it comes back down to that increasing competition. All the countries around the world are trying to increase their publication rate. and there's going to be more and more competition to get your work done, okay? So to be prepared for the future, those seeking publication, you need to ensure that you're producing original research, which is of the highest quality. Now, just touching upon academic excellence, these are sort of some of the things that we really do. Obviously, we're going to protect against plagiarism through those functions there. Editors will put authenticate into the publication process. This will ensure, obviously, similarity screening. You can compare against all the world's best. And this is really important for the local documents, our local journals, because you can compare it to your international competitors. Of course, authenticate will fit into a manuscript reviewing system, and any editors or publishers will ensure that they want to ensure that the work is original. And of course, once we put that work out there, you're going to ensure that acceptance happens, originality is there, there's going to be no retractions, which is really important. And of course, you're going to be able to elevate the impact of your work. So how we work exactly is that Authenticate will give a readout of all the matching sources. Now, often as I travel around Asia, people are very confused about that 97% score. And in fact, in coming weeks and months, we will probably hold more training for all researchers on how to understand that. But my biggest advice is that Authenticate is a content matching system. So we will find everything in our database and show you the matches. A high score is not necessarily indicative of plagiarism. You need to interrogate the quality and the quantity of the matches. You will be able to do a document-to-document comparison, and we're going to accept all file types, okay? So Microsoft Word, OpenOffice, WordPerfect, PowerPoint, Excel, PDF, and we can take up to 800 pages per document. And we must have a minimum of 20 words per document. So let's just actually jump into Authenticate now and just have a quick look. Okay. So Authenticate is a web-based software. And what we do is that we will have login credentials. We'll hit the login button. Okay. And you as a user will have a readout of all the previous checks that you can do. And down here you can see I've been busy at work and I have a document ready for us to look at called the RISTEC, excuse my spelling, it was late at night, the dictee speech. But how we upload a document is incredibly simple. We generate the report, we put in the name, document type, and we can put it into a reporting group where we can compare against. Now, we can ensure that it goes to the document repository if your account has one. And that is how we would submit the file. So we're going to go back to this document I prepared. Now, you can see that we are able to match in Bahasa Indonesian. So Turnitin and Authenticate have been actively in Indonesia since 2013. So throughout that time, we've collected a large amount of Indonesian content for comparison purposes. So right now, we're given a 18% similarity score. And these are all the matches that we've found. So primarily, we can only see an internet match. And we can hit this button here and it will show us where we match to. And if we hit the full source view, you're able to do a side-by-side comparison. And obviously the red is indicative. Now, when we go through the paper, what you'd be doing as a potential researcher is you'd be assessing these matches and working out if that is of concern to you. Now, like I said, this 1% match is incredibly small, and it's not really indicative of plagiarism. So some people, they get very concerned by the 1%. What you should be more concerned about is the bigger matches. Now, one thing we should note, at the moment, this paper is checking for quotes and bibliography. So we should actually exclude that and exclude the bibliography. Okay, it still stays the same. And then further to that, like I mentioned, we're really more interested in reviewing the bigger matches. So what we're able to do is we can actually exclude sources that are less than a certain word amount or a percentage. So if I hit the 2%, okay, and we can exclude matches that are less than, let's say, 20 words. Oops. And the paper drops down to 7%. And in my opinion, these would be the matches that we would need to interrogate and work out if that's of concern to us. Now, we do have the ability to exclude abstract methods and materials because generally there might be some unnecessary matches in that document. So if we hit the apply changes there, it still stays the same. Now, going down here, we're actually able to produce a PDF document. Which will give a readout, and then we have an originality report. And maybe the research officers of the university might mandate proof that a check has been undertaken. Now, we're also able to exclude the score as well, okay? So you might come across a match that you're very familiar with and you know that would not count, so you're able to hit the exclude button. All in all, the benefit of using Authenticate, I believe, during the writing process is that it's going to give you confidence that you haven't made those mistakes that Lindy talked about, that your writing is of high quality, and that you can send this off with complete confidence. But that ends my short presentation on a similarity check-in. We will be delivering some more training on a similarity score. I believe that's sort of entitled to a webinar in itself because there's a lot of confusion there. But I will open up the floor to questions. Thank you.
Okay, Jack, thank you so much. Jack, I have some question. Maybe can I read for you?
Sure.